Many adults and children who have cancer, strokes, or conditions like Parkinson's disease struggle with eating and swallowing. The solution is to often give them a tube that's inserted into their abdomen, giving them the nutrition they need to stay alive. Sounds great, but often the tubes can become infected or even fall out, which is expensive and forces the patient to be hospitalized. But one Israeli medical company has come up with a solution to the problem. Fidmi CEO Shahar Millis is here to tell us how their new product helps eliminate these problems and gives patients a higher quality of life. Thanks for coming in.
Hi.
So first of all, what is a feeding tube and why do some people need it?
Okay, feeding tubes are a life-saving procedure or a life-saving solution for people who cannot eat and swallow. And that caused by numerous conditions like you described, like cancer or stroke or neurological conditions such as ALS or Parkinson's disease. And those people who cannot eat for a long period of time need a feeding tube inserted directly into their stomach to be kept alive and for their nutrition sufficiency.
What is your company's tube doing that is different than what's on the market right now? It sounds like it's a painful procedure currently what's going on and that it causes a lot of problems. What is what you're doing helping solve that?
Okay, so feeding tubes basically have been around for about 35 years. And this is a typical feeding tube. So you can see it's long and it's heavy and bulky.
And what part is actually going out of the body?
All of this, basically.
So it's really long.
So this is the internal retention mechanism, and they have this long tube taped against their body. So they feed through that tube, and this tube stays for a long period of time. But feeding tubes today suffer from a lot of problems that haven't been solved during all those years. The main problem is dislodgement. These tubes maybe get entangled in stuff and be pulled out, or get caught in a shirt or bed sheets or something. And this tube, when it dislodges, it's very painful. It causes injury for the stomach, for the tract. And it's also something that would require the patient to rush into the hospital to have a new tube reinserted. So that's one of the main problems that feeding tubes have today. The other problem, which is a very frustrating and time-consuming problem, is that these tubes get clogged over time. As food and medications start to build up inside the tube, feeding becomes longer and longer, and frustration increases by the patient or the caregivers who support the patients. And eventually the tubes will clog, and when it clogs, they will either try to massage the tube and try to open that, or try to inject soda or warm water or any other solution, and it takes a lot of time, and sometimes it doesn't work, and the tube has to be replaced altogether just because it got clogged. So what we're doing is we have a low-profile enteral feeding device, which means that for the same insertion, same kind of procedure, we have a low-profile device which is very discreet, can be very close to the skin and doesn't require the long tube. It uses the same kind of procedure, like I said. It prevents the accidental dislodgement because we have came to approach it from a different angle. And we identified the problem as being that tubes today have a very soft internal bumper because it's designed to be pulled out by traction when it has to be removed. So there's a conflict of requirements from this product. It has to be rigid enough not to dislodge and soft enough not to cause any damage. So we approached it from a different angle and created a much firmer internal bumper that will not collapse. It is soft, but it will not collapse. So for removal, we're doing a different thing. We're just inserting a tool which looks like a basic screwdriver, and we break apart all these small pieces which will fall into the stomach, and the replacement will have to just extract the tube, which has no force, no pain, and no damage to the patient.
It looks like basically, I mean, these look like two totally different products. It seems like yours is much less likely to get pulled out on accident or basically to cause any of the problems you just described. And if this is something that our viewers are seeing and maybe they have these problems and it's something they want, how could they go about getting that? Is it already on the market? When will it be on the market?
We're currently in the final validation stages of the development of this product, and we should expect to reach the market in the US and in Europe by first quarter of 2017, probably.
Oh, wow. And if someone wants that, would they just ask their physician, or how would they go about actually using your product as opposed to a different kind of feeding tube?
Basically the same. It's the same kind of procedure, and the physician will indicate the use of a percutaneous endoscopic gastrostomy, which is this feeding tube, and if he chooses or if the patient wants, so they'll communicate and they'll use this device.
Fantastic. It looks like it's going to improve a lot of people's lives and make a big difference. Thank you so much for coming in.